Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the botany class. Today we are going to discuss about branches of botany. Before we try to understand what is the branches of botany, what are the various branches of botany, let us understand the term biology. Biology is nothing but study of life. This word can be split into two words. One, bios, which means life. The other word, logos, means study. So study of life is called as biology. So the study of all the living organisms present upon the universe is nothing but biology. In this biology, we are pertaining to only one type of living organisms, which are called as plants, where we study in the subject called as botany. Now, this botany subject has been developed over the years, and there is a large amount of development in science in the terms of botany. So today we have the biological golden era of biology in botany, and botany has been divided into various branches and subjects to meet these demands of the society. So let us concentrate on the various branches of botany today. The first branch of botany is called as morphology. Now, what is meant by morphology? It is nothing but the study of the external appearance of the plant body. So morphology is divided further into two branches, which are called as external morphology and internal morphology. So external morphology deals with the study of the external appearance or the external characteristic features of root, stem, leaf, flower, fruit, seed, etc. Anything which appears externally on the plant surface, the study of those all external characteristic features is called as external morphology. Now coming to the other part of morphology, which is called as internal morphology. Internal morphology is nothing but the study of the internal organs of the plant body. Now, these internal organs of the plant body can be studied under two headings. The first one is called as histology. The other one is called as anatomy. Now, what do we study in histology? In histology, we study the internal tissues. All plants are multicellular, isn't it? So, they are made up of many tissues. The tissues are further made into organ systems and organs. So, the study of all the tissues present in the plant body comes under the heading called as histology, which comes under internal morphology. Now, the second part of internal morphology is anatomy. Now, what do you study in anatomy? In histology, we learned about tissues. In anatomy, we are going to learn about the gross internal structure of the root, stem and leaf. How the cells are arranged in the internal structure of any plant body. That is studied under the heading called as anatomy. So, morphology is a branch of botany which is further divided into external and internal morphology. External morphology is only the external appearance of the plant body. Internal morphology is further divided into histology and anatomy. Is that clear? Now, coming to the next branch of botany, which is also called as cytology or cell biology. Now, the term itself denotes it is nothing but the study of the cell. We all know cell is the fundamental and structural part of any living organism. So, the study of the structure and function of the cell organelles present in the plants is called as cell biology or cytology. Now, this is the most important branch of botany because here we try to understand the cell, the important structural units present in the cell organelles, what are their functions, what is the structure, how they will help in culminating to form a multicellular organisms. All those things are studied under the heading called cell biology, which is a branch of botany. Now, next coming to another branch of botany, which is called as embryology. Now, in embryology, this branch of botany deals with the study of male and female gametophytes, how the gametes are formed. Once the gametes are formed, how the fertilization takes place. After fertilization, what are the post-fertilization changes, how the embryo develops, how the endosperm is formed, and ultimately how the seed is developed. So, the study of living organisms, which starts from the gamete formation to the development of a complete living individual, is studied under the heading called as embryology. So, it is basically nothing but study of embryo and its development for the formation of a complete individual. Next is the fourth branch of botany, which is also called as palynology. Now, palynology is nothing but the study of pollen grains, which are also called as microspores. Study of microspores or pollen grains, which constitute the male gamete, is called as palynology. Next branch of botany is taxonomy or systematic botany. Now, what is meant by taxonomy? Taxonomy is nothing but there are a huge number of living organisms upon the earth. So these organisms are supposed to be identified, they are supposed to be given a name, and they are further supposed to be classified. So identification, classification, nomenclature of all the living organisms present upon the universe constitute the study of taxonomy, or which is now in the present times, it is also called as systematic botany. Next branch of botany is physiology. Now, physiology deals with all the vital, important physiological functions present in any living organisms. What are the vital, important physiological functions present in plants? They are like photosynthesis, respiration, excretion, nitrogen metabolism. All these are the vital physiological activities present in any living organism. Especially in plants, we find photosynthesis because all plants are autotrophic in nature. They prepare their own food. So, all the vital metabolic activities present in any living organisms, the study of which is called as physiology. So, in plants, in botany, in physiology, we also study about photosynthesis, which is absent in animal physiology. In animal physiology, you don't find photosynthesis because animals are heterotrophic in nature. This is physiology. Next, coming to the branch of botany, which is also called as ecology. Here, in ecology, we deal only in botany with plant ecology. What is meant by ecology? Ecology is nothing but study of the living organism and their interaction with their surroundings. How are the organisms are interacting with their environment and how is the environment impacting the organism? That complete study comes under ecology. In botany, we deal only with plant ecology. Animal ecology is dealt in zoology. So, ecology is what? It is nothing but a branch of botany which deals with the study of living organisms, that is plants, and their interactions with the environment. Next, coming to the another branch of botany which is also called as paleobotany. Now, paleobotany deals with the study of fossils. What are fossils? These were once upon a time living organisms, but they were dead and they were buried in the deep crust of the earth. And when they were evacuated, excavations took place by archaeology department and they were excavated from the earth. Then we came to know that these living organisms once upon a time they lived upon the earth. By that way only we found out how the dinosaurs are present in once upon a time upon the earth and they were huge in number. So paleobotany deals with the fossils which are they are only regarding plants. We deal only with regarding the fossils of only plants. So they deal the study of fossils and how the fossils have helped in course of the evolution of all the living organisms. This whole study is done under a branch of botany which is also called as paleobotany. Next branch of botany is called as genetics. Genetics, in this we study the structure and function of the genes, how these genes help in hereditary and how the variations takes place from generation to generation. We take the characters from our parents and grandparents. So this heredity will keep on continuing from one generation to another generation. And when this heredity is going on from generation to generation, variations are also seen. So all the functions and structure of the genes and how heredity and variations takes place, all those studies are done under a branch of botany which is called as genetics. Now next, coming to the other branch of botany, which is also called as phytogeography. Now, what is meant by phytogeography? It is nothing but distribution of the fauna, that is the plants, the distribution of the plants as living organisms in different geographical regions of the world is called as phytogeography. So, which plants are being distributed in which areas? In deserts, there are some kind of plants. In evergreen forest, there are some type of plants. In tropical regions, there are some types of plants. In temperate regions, there are some types of plants. How the plants are distributed upon the earth? Based upon the geographical distribution, the branch of botany which deals with that study is called as phytogeography. Now, coming to the next branch of botany, which is called as plant pathology. Now, plant pathology, it deals with the study of the causes, symptoms and preventive measures of all the plant diseases. There are so many plant diseases caused by bacteria, viruses, fungi and various other pathogens. So, the diseases and their complete etymology, the causes, the symptoms, the treatment, the preventive measures, all are dealt in a branch of botany which is called as plant pathology. Next comes the branch called as phycology. Phycology is nothing but study of algae. These are very primitive plants. They are very microscopic and primitive plants, and they are the chief producers in oceans and seas. So these algae, the complete study of them, these are photosynthetic and autotrophic and chlorophyllous living organisms. That is, they have chlorophyll pigments in their body, and therefore they help in photosynthesis, and they are the chief producers of oceans, seas and various water bodies, and the study of them is called as phycology. Next branch of botany is called as mycology, which is nothing but the study of fungi. Fungi are heterotrophic achlorophyllous organisms. They come under plant because of certain reasons, which eventually in your further studies you will understand. Now fungi, they are plants, but they are achlorophyllous. Achlorophyllous means they lack the chlorophyll pigment and they cannot make their own food material through photosynthesis. So they are heterotrophic, they are achlorophyllous, and the study of fungi is called as mycology. Next branch of botany is called as lichenology. Lichenology comprises of living organisms which are called as lichens. Now what is meant by lichens? Lichens are nothing but a group of two organisms living symbiotically with each other, and the two organisms which live symbiotically with each other are algae and fungi. So algae and fungi together, when they live together like a single organism, that is called as lichen. The study of lichens is called as lichenology. And lichens, in these lichens, the algae help in production of the food material, and it supplies the produced food material to fungi. Fungi in turn will provide shelter to the algae. So in this way, both will benefit each other, and it is a beneficial relationship, which is also called as symbiosis. And lichens are very good pollution indicators. So in any area, if there is a lichen present, then you can be assured that there is no pollution over there. So they are pollution indicators. Means anywhere pollution is there, lichens are totally absent. Next branch of botany is called as bryology. Bryology is nothing but the study of plants which are called as bryophytes. Now bryophytes are those plants which are also called as amphibians of the plant kingdom. Now you will understand the term amphibians. Amphibians means those plants which can live both in water as well as land. So in the course of evolution, from algae, fungi, the next course of plants which came to the earth are bryophytes. So they are the amphibians of the plant kingdom, and the study of all the bryophytes is called as bryology. Next, the branch of botany is pteridology. Pteridology is nothing but the study of pteridophytes. Pteridophytes are the first land plants, and they are also called as first vascular plants because in them the first xylem and phloem were developed, and they were the first totally land plants. The study of pteridophytes is called as pteridology. So, in total, we have 16 branches of botany, and these 16 branches of botany are studied under different names, and they are called as branches of botany, and we all study during the course of your 2-year intermediate course. Every part or every branch of this botany is touched in a small bit for you to understand in toto the complete subject called as botany. So we have started the different branches of botany right from, once again we will revise, morphology, cytology, embryology, palynology, taxonomy, physiology, ecology, paleobotany, genetics, phytogeography, plant pathology, phycology, mycology, lichenology, bryology, pteridology. All these branches of botany, you will get any 1 or 2 of them as 2 marks questions in your intermediate public examination. They will ask you the definition of the branches of botany. So you should be able to understand and write the definition in a proper manner to fetch 2 marks. Is that clear, students? Thank you. Hello students, welcome to botany class. In today's class, we are going to deal about chapter 3, which comprises scope of botany. So we will begin with the definition of botany, how this word botany came into being, and how it tackles about the living organisms which are called as plants, which you all know they are all photosynthetic, autotrophic. That means they have the power to prepare their own food materials. So let's begin the class. Study of all living organisms, as we know, is called as biology. In this biology, we have the living organisms totally which are present upon the earth. Among these living organisms, we can easily identify some as plants, the other as animals. Plants are those living organisms which have the capacity to synthesize their own food material because of the presence of a chlorophyll pigment through a process called as photosynthesis. So we all know that. So biology is nothing but study of all living organisms. Now if you cut this word called biology, it can be cut into two subunits. Bios means life, logos means discourse. That is, anything, any study of life is called as biology. Is that clear? Now, in this biology, we are going to limit our study to the study of plants. Study of plants is studied under a heading called as botany. Now, how the word or the botany word has originated. So, origin of botany, that is plant sciences, how did it originate? Actually, the word botany, it has come from a Greek word which is called as boskin. How did it come into being? Actually, in Greek language, bos means cattle. You know, cattle are cows, buffaloes, and all these things are, all these animals are called as cattle. So, bos is cattle. The other word, boskin, means cattle field. Cattle feed. So, the word boskin has gone to give another word called as botany. This has given another word called as botany. So, the word botany which we use for the study of plants in present time, it has originated from a Greek word called as boskin. Is this clear? So, the origin of botany has come from a Greek word called as boskin, which was further modified to botany, and it was further modified to the present word called as botany, or the study of plants. So, this is the origin of the word botany. Now, how has this botany as a science developed from the time immemorial to present day? In ancient times, the civilization was not in a proper manner, the science was not developed. So, the people were nomadic, they used to roam from one place to another place in search of food, clothing and shelter. So, these basic three primary needs called as food, shelter and clothing, they has made man to realize which plant is useful for them and which is not useful for them. So, for that basic need to cater, the human beings have started developing or growing plants based upon their needs. So, from that time, the development of botany or the plant sciences has begun. Now, if you see, it was in the 4000 BC, Egyptians and Assyrians, these were a group of people in Europe, they started cultivating crop plants and fruit trees in form of pictures. That is, when they were cultivating, they categorized them and they made a book of pictures of these cultivated crops and fruit trees. This was way back in 4000 BC. And after that, in 2500 BC, Chinese, they learned to cultivate plants. They learned to grow plants based upon the need of food or shelter or clothing. They started growing or cultivating plants. It was in 2500 BC, Chinese did that. Later, in our country, when Vedas were written, in the Atharva Veda, around 2000 BC, it is mentioned the medicinal plants and as well as their uses. So, Atharva Veda comprises of all the medicinal plants present in India and its uses in the BC 2000. And later, a rishi by name Parasara in 1300 BC, he wrote two books which are very important. One book name is Krishi Parasaram, the other one is Riksha Ayurveda. The first book will deal with the agriculture and weed plants, whereas the second books will deal with all the medicinal plants. So, Parasara wrote two important books. One is Krishi Prasaram, the other one is Riksha Ayurveda. These books will have the details of agricultural plants and weeds, and the other book has the details of the medicinal plants. Next, in 340 BC, a person by name Theophrastus, he described around 500 plants, both the external and internal characters. In detail, he described the 500 plants which were available to him at that period, and he wrote all the information about those plants in a book called as De Historia Plantarium. And therefore, Theophrastus is regarded for his contribution as father of botany. So, the development of botany has started way back in 4000 BC with Egyptians and Assyrians. Later, it has gone from Chinese people. In India, we can see in the form of Atharva Veda, where the medicinal plants as well as the other plants are described. and later Krishi Prasara, Sage Parasara, he wrote two important books. One dealing with agriculture and weeds, that is Krishi Prasaram. The other dealing with medicinal plants, that is Riksha Ayurveda. And later Theophrastus described the present available plants in his time, both external as well as the internal characters, and he entitled all of them in a book called as De Historia Plantarium, and therefore he is regarded as father of botany. In the year 1623, Gaspard Bohin, he described 6,000 plants, okay, and he introduced a system of nomenclature for naming the plants, which is called as binomial nomenclature. That is, every living organisms will have two names. One is called as generic name, the other one was called as specific name. This idea of every living organism having two names, which is also called as binomial nomenclature, was first introduced by a scientist called as Gaspard Bohin. Next, in the year 1665, by this term, it was 17th century, and botany was emerging as a specific science, or a specific science which was catering only to the study of plants. In the year 1665, Robert Hooke, he studied the bacterial cell and he discovered the cell for the first time, and he described it in a book named Micrographia. So, Robert Hooke wrote a book called as Micrographia, in which he described the complete study of bacterial cell along with Antony von Leeuwenhoek. Later, Nehemiah Grieve and Malfigi, they studied plant tissues. And Camerarius, he studied sexual reproduction in plants. And it was Carolus von Linnaeus who popularized the idea of Gaspard Bohin, which was binomial nomenclature, and he also proposed a sexual system of classification. So, we present day students of botany, we always regard binomial nomenclature as given by Linnaeus, that is Carolus von Linnaeus. As per this nomenclature, every living organism will have two names. The first name defines the generic name and the second name defines the specific name. And the names are written in Latin so that there is no confusion over the worldwide and everybody can communicate with that name without any confusion. And this idea of binomial nomenclature was first given by Gaspard Bohin. Later, it was Stephen Hales who has discovered the conduction of water in plants through a tissue called as xylem. Plants will absorb the water through roots, isn't it? And they supply that water to all parts of the plant body. This takes place through a special type of tissue which is called as xylem. So, conduction of water through xylem takes place. This was discovered by Stephen Hales. And later, it was Joseph Priestley who has discovered that the plants release a pure gas which is in the form of oxygen, and this helps in purifying the atmosphere present in the earth. And it was Gregor John Mendel who did lot of study in genetics, and he gave laws of inheritance, and he is also called as father of genetics. And Charles Darwin was the person who gave theory of evolution. And it was Buchner who studied about the enzyme zymase in yeast cells. Mutations were studied, and elaborate understanding of mutations were given by Hugo de Vries. Okay? And the role of chromosomes or chromosomal inheritance is taking place and how they help in heredity. This was explained by Sutton and Boveri. And it was Watson and Crick who gave the double helical structure of DNA, which is the genetic material of all living organisms, mostly human beings, and they were awarded Nobel Prize for that. It was H.G. Khurana who gave the synthesis of gene, and he is an Indo-American. Krebs cycle was completely described by F.W. Wendt. Robert Hill described light reaction of photosynthesis. Calvin described the pathway of carbon assimilation, and Hatchins-like described the C4 pathway in photosynthesis. So all these are the scientists who have done one or the other type of discovery which has helped in the study of botany or plants and have improved our understanding towards life. So these headings which we have discussed here with the name of the scientist, eventually from first year to second year and in your higher studies, you will learn the meaning, the necessity and the reality and the real structure and the function of all these things like mutations. What are mutations? Sudden heritable structures which takes place in any living organisms, which can be transmitted from one generation to another generation. They are called as mutations. Now, what are chromosomes? They are present within the DNA, and DNA is present in the nucleus of every cell, which is a living organism. Okay, so the DNA is a double helical structure. It was proved by Watson and Crick's discovery, and they have done a lot of experiments like X-ray crystallography, etc., along with other scientists, for which they were awarded the Nobel Prize also. And artificial synthesis of genes was taken up by H.G. Khurana. And like that, and during respiration, how the process takes place in that respiration, what are the chemical reactions involved, those things come under Krebs cycle, which was discovered and described by F.W. Wendt. And in photosynthesis, how the light helps in capturing the electrons from the sunlight, and the chlorophyll pigment get excited, and it helps in the production of food materials. That whole phenomena we will learn in the chapter called as photosynthesis, which involves the light reaction as well as the carbon assimilation. And they were discovered by Robert Hill, light reaction in photosynthesis, and Calvin's cycle was described and discovered by Melvin Calvin, for which he was also awarded the Nobel Prize. And similarly, there are certain plants whose pathway of carbon fixation is in a different manner other than that of the Calvin cycle, and that was described by Hatch and Slag in C4 pathway. So these are the important topics which eventually you will learn in first and second year of botany, and in further studies when you do in graduation and post-graduation. So this was the development of botany over the years, and in the present century, we are in a golden era of biology, where a lot of biology or lot of basic sciences are in need. Now, presently, we are in pandemic, you are in houses and we are teaching online, right? So the reason for this is the virus. And the virus, the study of it, how it is spreading, how is this epidemic and endemic has impacted our lives, all this also comes under life sciences. So it has become more important to study the basic sciences to make ourselves aware of our surroundings and ourselves. Now, coming to the scope of botany, why do we need to study botany? What is the use of it? What is the scope? Suppose if I study botany, how is it going to help me in my future life? Now, plant breeding, like we all know, India is basically an agriculture country. We cultivate, major land is in under cultivation. So if we have to produce the amount of food required for our population, we have to produce the food in a large quantity, because day by day our population keeps on increasing. So we have to increase the amount of food also. This has been possible because of M.S. Swaminathan's Green Revolution. He brought about Green Revolution, where better varieties of plants, rice and wheat, were grown, which were having less prone to diseases. They were having environmental resistance. They were very tolerant for drought or for any kind of hurdles, and they were giving good yield. So all these things can be done under plant breeding. That way botany helps. And apart from that, phytopathology means if we know how the plants are succumbing to different kinds of diseases which caused by bacteria, viruses, fungi, or any other germs, if we know that, if we know the pathology of those organisms, then we can control the diseases, and in that way we can increase the yield. Similarly, horticulture, it is nothing but cultivation of the flowering plants for various reasons. So this is also a type of industry in which our botany helps. Genetic engineering, which is the present day phenomena, that is, there are certain genes present in a particular living organisms which are defective or causing disease. How to remove those genes, how to incorporate the better genes which will give you better yield, etc. So all these things are studied under genetic engineering, where our botany also helps. Similarly, biotechnology and tissue culture. In tissue culture, plants have an amazing phenomena. That is, a single cell of a plant, when put in any proper nutrient medium, can grow into a complete plant. This amazing facility is provided by nature only to plants. You don't find them in animals. You cut up an animal cell and put in a nutrient medium, you do not develop into a complete animal. But in plants, it happens. So that process, that phenomena, the capacity of a plant cell to develop in complete plant is called as totopotency. And this can be harnessed through a culture called as tissue culture or organ culture. And similarly, in present day, fossil plants or petro plants are developed to increase the petrol or fuels like diesel, etc., to meet the demands of the growing population. and bioremediation. That is, we all know because of the environment pollution, soil, water, air, everything is getting polluted. So how to remove that pollution from soil by using living organisms? That can be studied in bioremediation. And we can solve huge number of our environmental problems basically by planting trees. We all know trees will give pure oxygen, which is very important for living, and they imbibe all the carbon dioxide present in the atmosphere because they require it for their food production. In photosynthesis, the basic gas the plants will take up is carbon dioxide, and while they release, the gas is very important for all other living organisms to live healthy life. So environmental problems also can be majoritarily solved through the subject called as botany. So this is the very few elements of scope of botany which I have written here. There are many more and which you will learn in the coming years. So in this chapter 3, we have learned of branches of botany as well as how the botany subject has originated, how it has developed, and what is the scope of botany. Okay.